What's going on, Sumolings? Thank you so much for joining us for another product walkthrough webinar. I am Lindsay, and I am joined by the team over at Zoom.ai. Zoom.ai is an AI-powered meeting scheduler built to help you connect and book faster so you can get back to focusing on your clients. It is starting on AppSumo right now for just $49 for a lifetime deal. Before we dive into the walkthrough, I'm just going to tell you a few quick things. The first is that if you would like to tell us a little bit about your use case, why you're interested in Zoom AI, we would love to hear it. You can go ahead and do that over in the chat room. The second thing is that if you have any questions about the tool, about the deal, how to get set up, anything like that, go ahead and leave those questions in the Q&A box down below this video, and we will circle back to those questions at the end of the walkthrough. We also do have somebody from the Zoom AI team on standby to answer your questions if you're here watching this. The third thing is that there is a replay of this available, so hello to our replay people. And then yes, you can go ahead and step out if you need to. You can watch this as many times as you want. All right, that's it for me. Hey Joel, how are you doing?
Good, Lindsay, how are you doing?
I am doing very well, thank you. I am excited to have y'all here. I'm gonna go ahead and pass this over to you and let me know when you're ready for those questions.
Yeah, for sure. So, hey, AppSumo, how's everyone doing? I'm Joel, Customer Success Manager with Zoom AI. So I'll be taking you through a very quick tour of the platform, particularly with a use case maybe of customer success and support. That's what I primarily work in and what I use a lot of. But if you have any particular use cases like sales, recruiting, please let us know. Again, we do have someone from our team answering Q&A. So if you have any questions, go ahead and jot them down. Like Lindsay said, I'll be circling back at the end and try to capture any questions that are more frequently asked or any that we missed. So to get started, when you do go through the code redemption, you'll have one of two different plans you can choose from, professional or team. Right now, I'm showing you what the dashboard looks for a team. So it's a bit different. For professional, you'll be limited to meetings and integrations sections and then the subsections. If you're on team, you'll be able to see team functions and settings as well. And I'll kind of take you through that in terms of what you can do on the team plan. But when you do go through a short onboarding to capture your email and some information, you will be taken to the dashboard. So from here, what happens, we give you a couple of out-of-the-box meeting types. So meeting types, you can think of as templates that you can create a lot of functionality on in the back end. They also automatically create a personal scheduling link, which is that one-click URL that your users can go through and then look at your availability and then book the meeting with you. On the right-hand side, your assistant also gives you in the works. So any pending invitations you want to take some control over, and also just a roundup of today's meeting. So this can also be sent in the form of a daily briefing to your preferred notification center. If you work in Slack, in Microsoft Teams, you can also get them there. When you do go through Zoom AI, the first thing we do integrate with is your calendar. So this will be your default calendar. We do require a G Suite or Microsoft Calendar to integrate with us right now. And you can add multiple calendars. So for example, if you did have a work calendar, but you also have a personal calendar that you wanted your assistant to capture your availability with, you can definitely do that. And then your assistant will kind of work with both calendars to make sure that you're free for that actual appointment. You can also integrate any host of video conferencing providers that we do integrate with. And once integrated, you can go ahead and add them to any of those meeting types you do create. So let's just go quickly back to the dashboard. Again, I was talking about these meeting types or meeting templates you can create. We do give you a couple of out-of-box ones, but we really kind of preach editing those, or if you can create your own meeting links, because that's where the power comes from. That's where you can fully customize them and really make them your own. So I'll quickly just go through a couple of the more important things you'd want to touch on when creating a meeting type. The name and link. So you'd want to name this something that you can keep on tabs for. You can also create a default meeting title, which will be visible to your attendees. Again, it does automatically create that one-click URL. So again, any of your attendees wanting to have a meeting with you will have some information to how to fill out and then go ahead and choose availability based on what you have on the back end. You can also, again, aside from having your default calendar being the source of truth, meaning that, let's say I have my G calendar attached, and if I go to my calendar and I put, pick up my kids from 4 to 5, your assistant will respect that. But you can also teach your assistant how to do your availability, particularly to this link. So the duration, availability window, when within the days of my week. Date range, basically when someone clicks on it, how long out did you want that availability to be shown for? So for example, a lot of use cases for a lot of clients wanting to book further down, they don't have any time this month, so you can create an entire link for maybe 4-6 months down. I will set the lead time, which is basically the minimum amount of time someone can book with you. Set some buffer time, so a little time before and after the meeting. And then we do have shared availability options. So this is if you do have a team plan with us. So here, a team plan and different users living within Zoom AI. We can do a lot of interesting things here. For example, we can do an on behalf meeting. Here, I can put one of my teammates. What happens is it actually transfers the meeting as soon as someone clicks on this. And it's actually going to show up on my colleague's calendar instead of myself. I can also do collective pre-select. So here again, I can put any teammates. When someone clicks on this link, it's actually going to capture the availability of my entire team on the back end so that it's actually getting booked with everyone and that external attendee as well. And we also have round robin, which is great for sales teams, support teams. Let's say you have a client and you have our links living on your website, and they actually wanted to meet with one of your team's representatives, and it doesn't really matter which one takes that call, as long as one of them is available. You can go ahead and again, put in different teammates, and what's gonna happen is, let's say I wanna have a meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m., and let's say that I, Joel, already have a meeting with a client, so I cannot attend. The AI assistant is gonna go round robin and find that maybe Joel does have that time available, and then automatically book that meeting between Joel and that external attendee. So great way to have your team's collective availability on the back end, so that the AI is doing the hard work and making sure that at least one of your candidates or one of your agents is available. We also have location and conferencing. So here's where you're going to want to attach any of those video conferencing providers that you do have integrated with us. So you can see here that it's automatically populating a couple that I have for myself. So again, you can create separate links with separate video conferencing providers if you'd like. I particularly do this, for example, if I wanted to cater to my clients' Zoom US capabilities versus G Suite, for example. We can also add additional customization. So meeting instructions, anything you wanted these people that are attending your meeting to know about. We can even hyperlink, for example, a page on our website if you wanted to redirect into that. We can also collect very specific questions for any of these links we create. So we can actually get very specific in terms of the different meeting links that we render. And then again, you can add this to your website. We can have some of them required versus some optional. And then getting to our actual embed, here's where we can actually take the code and then add it to your website. So we do have two options, inline and slide out. Slide out works a little bit like a support icon, which when they click on it, it'll just automatically render that particular meeting type. And we also do have payment collections. So for example, if you did need it to collect payments for this particular link, you can definitely do that. Right now we do host Stripe. I know we have a couple of requests for other payment vendors, for example, PayPal, and our product team is definitely looking into that. But you can go ahead and set that up. And then again, it's going to collect any payments for this particular link. And so you can see here, just for example, my particular meeting settings, I have a ton of different meeting links that I've created, all with different availability, different video conferencing providers, and different teammates on the back end, for example. And so copying and pasting that link wherever those attendees live is definitely one of the more powerful ways to connect with those people. For example, big use case for having it something in your signature. So any of my clients, if they wanted to go ahead and have a meeting with me, they can go ahead and do that. And so that's one of the more powerful ways, definitely creating that link and then having it available for your attendees to click on. Again, you can embed that. Another way that you can actually have a grouping of those different meeting types that you create is under our meeting directories. So here, for example, I have two directories. And the way it works is you actually group any of those meeting types that you've created, and you can go ahead and select them to group those meeting types within a particular directory. So here, we'll name the directory, we'll give a couple of instructions. And so when an attendee, again, opens this up, they're actually going to get a couple of different choices in terms of what particular type of meeting they want to have. So a quick tour, a team plan demo. And you can see here that it's different times as well. So if you did want to separate meeting types through different links, through different video conferencing providers, you can definitely do that. And again, you can set up questions specific to this particular link. So I'm actually capturing information particular to a quick tour versus something like a team plan tour. And aside from the links themselves, there's actually a couple of different ways that you can have those attendees book with you. So I was showing you the meeting links, which again is probably a more popular and most powerful way to have those attendees book with you. But you can actually send out an invitation from the web application itself. So here, for example, let's say I wanted to have a meeting with someone that's already on my backend. So again, anything that you integrate with Zoom AI, we actually do a contacts grab. So we try to grab your contacts to make it a lot easier for you to book meetings with them. And in particular, scheduling from the web application is great for those larger group meetings. So for example, let's say I had to invite a couple of different people to a particular meeting, so one time and date, I can definitely do that. And we can also mark people as VIP if we wanted to. So VIP meaning that anyone that I select is going to weigh the decisions a lot heavier for this meeting. And it's also going to make sure that they definitely pick times in order for this meeting to go forward. So again, if you have any important stakeholders, I know if you work in sales, you might have someone that actually does the purchasing for the software. So you really want that person to be involved in the meeting. You can definitely mark them as VIP. When you go to the next frame, here's where you can pick any of those meeting types that you can create it. So again, let's say I take a sales demo. It's going to automatically change the settings based on what I've created for this particular meeting type. But if I wanted to change it even further, I can definitely do that. So go into the calendar, pick a particular date range, hours in between, the title, I can change that if I wanted to have a customized title, duration as well. So let's say I wanted to have it longer versus shorter. We can see here that we do have a room integration. So if you do have something like Google Rooms or Robin Powered, the system will automatically try to capture a room for you to have that meeting. And we can see here that we do have video conferencing already attached for that meeting. So again, depending on the meeting type that you do want to grab for this particular meeting, it'll automatically render the particular video conferencing provider. And then here at the bottom, I can customize an agenda. So a little bit different than meeting instructions. This is just particular to the invitees I'm about to send this out to. Go ahead and press next. My system's going to give me a lowdown of this meeting. So sometimes between the 28th and the 23rd of October. And now I can do one of two things. I can get a private invite link, which works a lot like a personal scheduling link. It's actually going to render a unique link that you'll send out to that invitee. Or I can send out those invitations. So that's what I'll do now. It's basically pushing out the invitations from the web application itself. And one other thing you want to keep track of is your tasks. So anytime someone clicks on your link, or if you send out those invitations, you can actually track where your meeting is under your tasks, which works like a bit of an audit trail when it comes to your meetings. So here you can see your active versus your upcoming and your completed meetings. So under your active, here you can see that meeting that I just sent out. So again, those two people. And we can actually take some control over your active meeting. So again, your active meeting, these are still pending invitations that haven't been booked yet. And we can have visibility, for example, into different times that people have selected versus times that some people haven't. And because we are AI powered, we do send notifications. So we do organically send notifications every 2 to 3 days to those people that haven't picked times to please pick times with us. But you can also send some manual reminders. So here I can send a reminder. Again, this is actually going to get pushed out to those people that haven't picked times. I can also reschedule the request. So in most terms, there's going to be a date range. And if it's getting close to the end of that date range, you might want to reschedule it to extend it. We can also find times, which is one of our more popular features. This is great for sales. I know I use this all the time. Basically, your system will give you some suggestions of a mutually available time based on what's already been picked. So it's letting me know that one out of 2 invitees has chosen a time. And if I go ahead and pick Monday, for example, and I go ahead and book this meeting, it's actually going to go ahead and put this event in everyone's calendar. So we do preach a little bit of caution on this point because it's automatically going to get booked on everyone's calendar. But again, I'm more of asking for forgiveness later if this is an important meeting and the important stakeholders that I did want to attend have picked times, and I'm going to go ahead and force book that meeting. And just going back to that invitation, this is what the invitation will look like when you're actually pushing it out. Just to note, if you are a team plan user, you can customize the email that actually gets sent out, and I'll show you what that looks like in a little bit. But you can always get CC'd on any invitations your assistant send out, which it's go ahead and doing it for me right now. And this is what the flow will actually look like for them. So if you do have any questions stipulated, they can go ahead and answer them. Some are optional versus some that could be required. So it won't let them go through the next phase, but they go ahead and answer that. They can go ahead and pick time. So because this is a larger group meeting, it's actually allowing me to select multiple times. So you can see the system is aggregating all those times at the bottom. And if all that looks good, then I can go ahead and confirm that meeting. And I'm going to go ahead and cheat a little bit just because I want you guys to see what it looks like when someone else responds to that meeting request. So this is a situation when you have a group meeting, the first person has to pick times, and this is what the second person will look like if they're clicking on that link. So right off the bat, what we do is we go ahead and give them mutually available times. So here you just saw me pick those times. If Kamal goes ahead and picks any of those times, then it's an automatic meeting. Of course, we do allow them to pick times outside of that, but the big push is to have that collective availability. So if I go ahead, confirm that meeting, again, it's just going to push out the confirmation once that meeting actually does get booked. And so that was the other method. So the first method I showed was the actual link itself. The second method, again, is scheduling from the web application. So again, pushing out emails from your assistant. And then the third popular way is through our messengers and plugins. So depending on what your team uses, this could, again, be Microsoft Teams. This could be Slack. For us at Zoom.ai, we actually use Slack. And so here's where I'm going to get my notifications. I can also send out invitations from here. And I can also do a lot of interesting commands to try to, for example, queue my calendar. But here's my assistant give me a rundown of that meeting that actually just got booked. So those times that I've selected. Again, it's popping it up. And if we were to go back to our task, that's going to be now moved to upcoming because it's going to be a meeting in the future. And so from here, we can also try to schedule out meetings. So for example, let's say I wanted to have a meeting with Kamal. Kamal's part of my team. She's our head of operations. And I'm sure if you've asked any questions on our support, you've definitely talked to her before. She's great.
I'm right here.
Hey, Kamal.
Hey.
So what'll happen is because it recognizes which Kamal I'm talking about and the one I most frequently talk about, it's going to recognize it's the Kamal on our chat. And if I go ahead and say yes, what's going to happen is added bonus because she's actually part of my team on the back end on Zoom.ai. So what it'll actually do is it'll give me times where I can automatically book a meeting with her. So if I go ahead and choose 1 through 8, that's an automatic meeting. It's going into both of our calendars. Or I can choose 9 and let them decide. So some flexibility in terms of how you wanted to book with your teammates. But the real power comes from actually specifying a particular meeting type that you want to have for this meeting. So we go back to our web applications. One of the things that Zoom.ai does is it'll actually teach you how to speak to it when it comes to our messages and plugins. So for example, let's say I wanted to grab a Zoom.ai tour with all the settings that I've enacted on the back end. My assistant's just letting me know to ask it to please schedule a Zoom.ai tour with blank for any allotted amount of time. So if I go back to my Slack and I ask it schedule Zoom.ai tour with, let's say, Kamal for next week, what's going to happen is it's going to recognize that particular meeting type and it's going to pull up all the settings for it on the back end. So here we can see the conference, the title, everything's pulled. So again, just a good note, when you are creating meeting types, it will tell you how to actually bring that up with any of our chat or plugins that we do have available. And we do have a host of other commands that we can do within our chat platforms. For example, I can queue my calendar really quickly. I do this all the time. When am I free next week? So because we are integrated with your calendar on the back end, it's just going to go ahead, quickly scan it, and then pull up a couple of dates that you are available. So we do have a dedicated FAQ in terms of the commands that you can ask your assistant. So be on the lookout for that. I can also post it on the chat if anyone's interested in that. The other thing I quickly did want to take you through, and I am mindful of our time, I'm sure there's quite a number of questions, so I want to get to those, is your team. So some of you will have a professional plan, some of you will have our team plan. So in general, when you do sign up for a team plan, we do require again, a G Suite or Microsoft account, but also a work domain. So what happens is, let's say I set up a team plan. Anybody else that automatically signs up with us, so that would be going to Zoom.ai and getting started with us. So they would just sign up again with either Google or Microsoft. If they have the same domain as myself, they're automatically going to be added to my team plan. So here, again, we have a toggle we can switch on and off. So if you prefer not to have that automation, you can definitely toggle it off. But you can also invite your coworkers. So if you did want to invite anyone to your team plan, you can definitely do that. We do have an automatic message and it gets started CTA that automatically redirects them to that. Aside from that, we do have some team-wide settings, so we can customize the logo URL. And what that is, it's going to be the logo that actually gets rendered at the very side, on the right-hand side. So if I go ahead, I'll just show you what that looks like. So on the right-hand side, for example, we have Zoom.ai, but that can be any logo for your particular organization. And we can also customize the email that gets sent out. So I was talking before, when scheduling from the web application or from your chat plugin, your system does send out an email and you can definitely customize it here. Aside from that, we can definitely manage our users. So if you do, again, have a team plan, we have our users living here and we can either remove or delete them. Removing basically means that it takes them away from your organization, but still has a plan, a basic plan for them. So you can always bring them back. Deleting means that they're completely deleting them from your account and removing any access to Zoom.ai. So again, if you did need to take any of those two actions, be sure to go to your users. We also have Teamwide Integrations. So let's say you have a sales team on the back end and you wanted to have your CRM live on the back end where any of your sales agents can access it. You will definitely want to bring it here to your Teamwide Integrations. Again, you do have your personal integrations, which is again personal to your account, but you can have Teamwide. You can also have different reports. You can look at your billing and the history of different actions that have been taken onto your account. So all that available within our team plan particularly. And the last thing I did want to show you is our contacts and our integrations. So again, just going back quickly to our integrations, first thing is your default calendar. You can see that we do grab contacts. If you do have a CRM, something like HubSpot, Salesforce, we definitely integrate with those as well. We actually have, I think now, over 70 direct integrations. So a ton of integrations you can check out, everything from video conferencing to CRM if you're in sales, to ATSs if you are a recruiter and you use that again. It's gonna pull contacts and do a notes push for it as well. And so with any of those integrations, again, we're grabbing your contacts, meaning that it allows us to quickly book with them, but also we can do something called People Insights. So here, all my contacts are living. And for most of you guys, this might be a meeting with someone you haven't met with before. So you might want to aggregate some information, get some insights, get some icebreakers maybe to those people you're about to meet with. So depending on the emails associated with this contact, so we can see here we have a couple. In usual terms, the more emails, the more that our system's going to grab, but also based on their privacy settings. So if they have any privacy settings enacted with social media or a different work account, it will restrict that information. But your system will give you a lowdown on things like a personality snapshot, organizations that they work with or past work with. Again, if you do have a CRM, we can connect that to any deals associated, contacts, similarities. Social media, again, we can go into their LinkedIn, Facebook, again, based on any privacy settings that they do have enacted on the back end. So just a great way that you can quickly glimpse your attendees before you even meet with them. This is also available if you do ask it to do a person's insight within your chat application. So you can definitely do that from Slack or Microsoft Teams. So I think that is everything. I know that was a lot of information, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions. So I think I'll leave it there. And if we have any questions, we can definitely get to those. So I'll bring it back to Lindsay.
Let's get into it. All right, Sumolings, if you have questions, excuse me, this is your time to go ahead and send those in. I'm going to grab some of the questions that are coming in now. What is the total amount of people in one meeting?
So for that, we don't have a limit in terms of the people that you can invite to a meeting. So like I said before, let me just share my screen because I think this will be a bit helpful. If you have a larger group meeting, we do recommend the in-app web scheduler so you can have all those people automatically join the meeting. But we do also host the ability to add guests. So if someone clicks on your link, they can go ahead and add guests. So for this particular, there's no limit. I think I'll have to double check with our product team and maybe Kamal can chime in on this, but I'm not too sure there is a limit for this. So there's an unlimited amount of people that can join that meeting.
Yeah, that is correct. Generically, when you're booking a meeting, you're not looking at the number of people you can potentially invite and then not invite them. So going with that logic itself, we've made sure that you can have as many attendees as you want for this specific meeting or any meeting.
Awesome, thank you. Can you show us what the website, embed, and slide over option look like?
Yeah, so we actually do have that living within our website. If you just go quickly to Zoom.ai. So for us, we have the just the regular inline embed. So what happens is it actually just renders the meeting type directly onto your website. So instead of having a link to click on, it'll just automatically render it and then take them through the flow. The inline or the slide out will look something like this. So it'll just be a little icon which they can click on and then go ahead and book a meeting. That's our drift, but it'll, again, just render the actual meeting type that you've embedded on your website for users to quickly book with you.
Great, thank you. I mentioned that you'll probably get some integration questions. The one that just came in was, can Zoom AI integrate with mobile or desktop event apps? What can you tell us about integrations?
Yeah, so we do host a ton of different integrations, and it's definitely one of the more popular feature requests just because once we got that ball rolling, there's so many other integrations that people want to see. So we're great to facilitate those. Our product team is working really, really hard to try to get as many of those integrations on the roadmap as possible. Just to note that on the AppSumo deal page, I'll actually be posting pinned messages with our roadmap and any features that we are considering in the future. So definitely be on the lookout for those. Again, if you have any recommendations, please let us know. I can definitely let the product team know to look out for those.
That was actually going to be my next question, was about the roadmap. What are you looking forward to coming out? And also, I was going to ask you where people could see it or find it.
Yes. So again, I will be posting and pinning those messages on the deal page directly. And we work really hard with marketing and product to make sure that we have a very clear roadmap and ETAs for those as well. So right now, what I'm personally excited for, we've got a lot of requests for languages. So great to see that there's a big international community at AppSumo. So we're working to get, I think right now, Swedish and German released tentatively. We already host Portuguese, Spanish, French, and obviously English. So that'll be in terms of translating the UI. So the interface that the users go through in order to book the meeting with you. Aside from that, we are doing some modification when it comes to your availability window coming up, which is great. So under any of the meeting types that you do create, you can actually specify different availability windows. And one of the features that we're coming out with is actually having different blocks. So let's say I wanted people to choose from 10 to 12, but I wanted another block from, let's say, 3 to 5. We're coming out with that feature to have those different blocks. So again, I'll be sure to announce it as soon as that gets released.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
The next question that came in was, do invitees have to download an app or anything of that sort?
No. So in terms of having those attendees book with you, all they'll do is go ahead and copy this link. Click on the link and then go through the flow itself. So I just threw it in an incognito window so it doesn't remember any of my settings, but this is what a usual person would go through in terms of the actual flow. So they do have the option to integrate their calendar, for example. So let's say they actually wanted to see availability side by side. They can go ahead and sync. Again, allows them to temporarily sync their calendar just to see availability. We don't actually save that. We don't create an account. It's just more for your purposes if you wanted a quick glimpse. But to answer your question, no, they don't need an account. Of course, it becomes a lot easier to bridge availability if they do have one. But in general, no, they do not need one.
Wonderful, thank you. We had a question come in. If they add 50 teachers specifically, can they control their availability? I know that we get this question often with things like sub accounts. How much control does the administrator have?
Mm-hmm. So in the use case where you have all of those 50 users living as users on a team plan, so if they're living here, each of those users will have an account and they can create their own meeting types, their own meeting links. In terms of being an administrator, what you could do is create a meeting type that brings in their availability. So for example, let's say I have those 50 teachers on the back end, and I want to create a link that pulls in a couple of different teachers in different ways. So let's say I wanted to create a meeting that pulls in a particular teacher for an on behalf meeting, meaning that I have a student that should really be talking to a different teacher and not myself. I can add that teacher here, and anytime I get that situation, I can quickly copy that link, send it to the student, so it's actually seeing the other teacher's availability. Same goes with collective. So again, if I needed this to be a collective of teachers, I can definitely do that. Or a round robin, so when it doesn't matter which teacher, or this one's great, we've had a couple of education personas come in. So something like counselors, where it doesn't really matter which counselor picks up that particular student as long as one of them's available. You can definitely do that. So you can create separate links for each of these different availability options. So from there, I mean, it's really up to you. You can manage this link, again, having those teachers availability on the back end, or the teachers themselves can create links and then share that themselves.
I just also wanted to chime in and say that calendars are very personal and also very secure. So keep in mind that when you're trying to basically allow for scheduling with multiple different stakeholders, that you keep that in mind, and whether they'd be comfortable with you accessing those calendars. If they are, then great, then you'd basically have backend access to either their Google or Microsoft. But in terms of actually scheduling for them, you can do that via the platform with the on behalf and round robin and collective, like Joel said. But the actual viewing of the calendar may not be possible because that's, like I said, personal to and secure to the actual user. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. We have this question. Our team is composed of freelancers, so we don't share the same email domain. They mostly use Gmail. Is that going to be an issue when it comes to adding them for meetings?
So no, it depends. I mean, if you have a team plan, like I said before, the traditional way it works is if they have the same domain as you, they will be added. If they don't, though, you can definitely invite them. So in the situation where you have a team plan and you want to have them living as users on the back end, you can definitely invite those coworkers. Again, send them that link, and then they will render on your account. In terms of having those as simply people that you work with, that shouldn't be an issue at all, because we don't really care what email address they associate when booking the meeting with you, if that makes any sense. It's just when you actually have an account on the back end that we do have the Gmail, Hotmail restrictions. So in general, no. Just because they don't share the same domain as you, again, if they have something like a Gmail, you can still add them. But it really depends on your use case and how you want to basically have them added on your team.
Yeah, the other thing is that if you did have multiple different domains as well, say if they were non-Gmail or Microsoft, then I would also recommend reaching out to us so we can add those different domains for you at the back end. And then say you don't have those domains, and like you told Joel that you wanted them to have Gmail and be a part of your team plan, then you can also reach out to us and we can add them manually for you at the back end.
Thank you. All right, this next question. Can we open up multiple availabilities in a day? For example, say I am available 8 to 10 a.m. and 4 to 6 p.m. on Monday.
Yeah, so I just talked about how that's something we're coming out with. So right now, under your availability windows, you can specify. So right now we are limited to one time block. So it would have to be a particular time range. Again, we are coming out with multiple different blocks. So for that particular use case, you can definitely do that. A workaround right now that we use is Directories. So here we can actually specify different meeting types. And again, you can have those different blocks for those meeting types. So here we can group, let's say one that's from 10 to 12, another that's from 3 to 4, and that way silo it. But again, within the particular meeting types themselves, we are coming out with that functionality relatively soon. And I'll be sure to post all the updates within the deal page.
Great, thank you. All right, so we have some more questions. We have a bunch of questions that just came in. Can we get social media opt-in options for the meetings?
That's a great question. So in what way, I'm just not too sure what that would mean in terms of opt-in for the meeting getting booked. I mean, traditionally the way it works is they put their email, their name, and then it gets booked onto their calendar. So yeah, I'm not too sure in terms of social media.
All right. I think the clarification was of Facebook or Google button.
I'm not too sure how that would work or what would be the big purpose behind that, but we can definitely have a product team maybe look into that.
Are they, if they're, sorry, if they're specifically talking about tracking links or Google Analytics or things like that, then that is something that the product team is currently considering. But yeah, I mean, reach out to us if you have specific use cases as to why you need Gmail or Google or Facebook and you need a button there. And if there's something that we can do about it, and if it's a big use case, then we definitely love to build it for you.
Great, thank you. All right, Stan just asked, can I look at my Zoom AI account /calendar and schedule a meeting with / for someone who may be technologically challenged?
Yeah, so we actually created the platform for that purpose. We try to make it a very simple flow and UI. So the simplest way, and again, the most popular way we've seen our platform being used is the links. So it's just about, again, creating that particular meeting type, and then literally all they have to do is click on the link. Again, if you have any questions, they'll have to answer those first, and they'll have to put their name and their email. This is how we actually populate the event on their calendar once they actually do book that meeting. And then again, it's just going to go through the availability window, pick a time, and then once they do confirm, it's going to send them an email confirming the time, and it'll also send them notifications the day of the meeting to actually remind them to attend the meeting.
Awesome. If I send an invitation via email, can I get alerted when the email is opened?
So currently, no, right now we don't have anything in terms of when someone opens the email, but you can always track when someone has picked time. So again, your tasks is a great way to look at the audit trail and again, look at those active meetings. So in a situation where you do have quite a number of different people picking times, as soon as someone does pick times, it will render it back here. And then you can actually see different times that have been selected. So right now I don't have any people that have selected times, but oh, here we go. So let's say, so Oscar has picked times, right? As soon as that happens, because we are dynamic and we are AI powered, it will automatically and dynamically show up in your tasks. So here's where you can keep track of that. And then again, you do have a couple of manual processes you can do. So send reminders, reschedule, or find times for that meeting.
Wonderful, thank you. Yeah. Sumolings, if you have any more questions, now is your moment to send those in because we have gone through all of the questions in this Q&A box. We have just one here that says, can we pull from a CRM students that are in good standing and send a link only to that group?
So that's a great question. So if you do have a CRM attached, you can definitely pull those contacts. So my suggestion would be actually scheduling from the web application. So here, again, if you have those students living in your CRM, you can quickly type them in, create that list, and then send out an invitation particular to that group of people.
Great. An anonymous attendee just asked, can we connect multiple Stripe accounts?
So that's actually a great question. I'm not too sure. In theory, yes, if you have separate accounts with Stripe, what happens is when you integrate any of our third parties, you will have to log into that account in order for the integration to go forward. So if you have multiple different Stripe accounts, in theory, you might be able to. I don't want to say a lot because I'm not too sure. So I don't know if Kamal, you have any extra information on that. But in general, you need separate accounts. I only say that because we do have a couple of our clients using different Zoom US accounts or different video conferencing accounts that you can enact and then tie to different meeting types. So it should work the same for Stripe.
Yeah, you're absolutely right in terms of those integrations. At the same time, whenever you integrate any kind of platform or vendor to Zoom.ai, always know that we sync back your contacts. So it makes it easier for you to book meetings, A. And then the second thing to note is that if you have multiple different ways of logging into that account, then you could potentially find an issue with the way that it syncs back. So I would recommend syncing one email address account at one time so that you do not face that problem. So for example, like Joel mentioned, you do have multiple Zoom.us accounts, for example. So you don't want to mess that up and have all of your accounts in the same account. So have Joel at Zoom.ai and Komal at Zoom.ai, and then add that account, because then that could cause a problem with the way that we sync back contacts. So the recommendation is always to have a single email address for a single account, integrate, go next, integrate the next account with the next email address, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you. This next question is, can we customize the look/colors of the website embed to make it look more like our brand? We always get some variety of this question. So what can be customized in Zoom AI?
Yeah, so in general, those codes that we do render for the embed are posted. So in terms of additional customization, we do render the code. I mean, I'm not too sure the parameters of what you can customize. It's all code. So if you have like a coder on your team that wants to customize the look and the colors of it, you might be able to do that. Again, Kamal, I'm not too sure if you have anything on that. But we have had that request to have like a very simple way to just change the colors of what the embed looks like or what the slide out option looks like. And we've let our product team know, so they're investigating that. I'm sure it's going to be just a growing request because there's a lot of different types of website, but I'll definitely take that back as an added vote for sure.
Yeah, that's been taken back to our product team.
Great. All right, is there video conferencing within the platform, or will I need to host the meetings via my phone or Zoom US or whatever?
Yeah, so in general, again, we deal with meeting scheduling. So we do everything when it comes to having the links, getting that meeting booked. The particular medium of the meeting is completely up to you. So I'll just quickly take you through one of the meeting types. You can here specify how you actually want to meet with that person. So here I could put a phone number, I could put a physical location if that is an in-person meeting. And again, we do host a variety of different video conferencing providers. So again, that's up to you, whatever video conferencing provider you're comfortable with or your organization uses, you can definitely attach. But when it comes to the actual conference, that's up to that third-party vendor. So anything to do with their settings or hosting has to do with them. We integrate having those dynamic links automatically generate once the meeting does get booked.
Great, thank you. Does Zoom AI maintain its own list on contacts who book through the tool?
So in terms of, that's a kind of weird question. So in terms of contacts, again, we do sync your contacts to your account. That way, again, it makes it easier for you to actually book those meetings. In terms of Zoom AI itself, we actually are very, very restrictive and limiting in terms of the information we hold and capture. So just your availability when it comes to your calendar, we do grab. And when I say that, I mean, we're not actually scanning any event information. We're not looking at who's invited. We're not looking at notes, any attachments. We're just literally looking for open gaps in your schedule to place meetings into. And then again, contacts. So those are private to you in terms of a user, but also, again, if you do have those team-wide integrations that carry contacts, that is then available to your entire team on the back end. So we are pretty good in terms of privacy, and we also do have a very comprehensive security page if anybody wants to check that out. It goes through literally all the things we've done in terms of security and our partnerships with Microsoft and G Suite. So definitely take a look at that if you're interested.
Wonderful. I know that there are many Sumolings who like that kind of information, so thank you for that. All right, so again, we've gone through all of these questions, and thanks to your team for doing that, because they have been answering so many here. This has been amazing. Kamal, Kayla, thank you. Thank you. All right, so we can go ahead and wrap this up. Is there anything else that we've gotten some compliments for you. Joel, you are a great explainer. While you were going through this, we got a lot of, I love this feature. It eliminates the need for other scheduling apps. They another great feature. I don't know which ones you were talking about, but people were raving. So that's exciting.
Thank you.
So Sumolings, if you have not already, you can go to appsumo.com/ZoomAI, just one word, to redeem your codes. It is starting at $49 for a lifetime deal, and of course is backed by AppSumo's 60-day guarantee. So you can go ahead and get set up, start playing around with it, and see how it works for you. You can also check that deal page. Coming soon, there will be a roadmap on there to hear about all of the additional features that you'll be getting. And of course, you can leave any more questions that you have on the deal page, and we love to read your reviews. So go ahead and let us know how you are loving this on the deal page as well. Thank you so much, Joel, for walking us through everything.
Oh, thanks a lot, Lindsay, for hosting us. Just a note, we're really excited to have this campaign with you guys. AppSumo Leans have been great with your questions and your feedback. Thanks for that feedback. I feel like I talked too fast, so there was great feedback. They had some good information. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, again, please go to our support or the deal page. Again, I'll be posting any feedback or product updates that we have, so definitely check out for those.
Yeah, and just to add to that, also, if you wanted to come in for our live user trainings every Thursday, Joel's there as well, and so am I. So we can explain away any more questions that you have.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for giving them so many opportunities to chat with y'all and to really learn how to use this tool. That's very exciting and kind of you. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good one.
All right. Thanks, Lindsay. Bye.
Bye.